thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
It's Review It Man, reviewing what he can. Movies are his jam, so let's get twisted, man. It's Review It Rob.
Hey, yo, welcome to the Review It Rob Show, man. An episode that's going to be Bossa Nova. Yeah, it is. That's right, man. Thank you for joining in. We're going to be talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. As well, you'll get your mandatory horror news, your mandatory DC news, and any other things I found going on in the realm of movies, man. Appreciate you joining in to listen to me ramble on about movies. I love doing this show, and I love that you join in and listen to me ramble on, man. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, released earlier this year. It is rated PG for language. Impolite material, sequences of violence and action. It is a kids' family comedy movie, and it runs in at 1 hour and 39 minutes. I watched this movie streaming on Paramount Plus. After years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle Brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers. Their new friend, April O'Neil, helps them take on a mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in their own heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them. Rotten Tomatoes critic score has it at a 96%, while the audience score is sitting at a 90%, double 90s, and IMDb is at a 7.3 out of 10, so not a 90 over there. But so those are their thoughts. What are my thoughts on the film? So, ended up not getting to see this movie in theaters. Missed my opportunity to see it there, but thankfully it is on Paramount Plus because it's a Paramount film. I've always enjoyed the Ninja Turtles. I've been a Ninja Turtles fan for a while. I'm wearing Ninja Turtle socks as I'm doing this episode here, man. I'm not an animation guy, to be honest with you. I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily go straight to animation unless it's like source material that I'm really interested in. Like I watch the DC stuff, right? Because I'm a DC fan. But Ninja Turtles has mostly been like CGI animation, animated stuff lately. They haven't done live action stuff too often. The last live action thing they've done has been the Michael Bay films, which feel how you will about that. But I've been watching Ninja Turtle stuff for a while. My brother, Tombstone Josh, Metal Groove Podcast. Make sure you check out his show. It's always awesome. He's the Ninja Turtles guy, man. Growing up, he was Ninja Turtles. I was Power Rangers, right? But I still can appreciate and enjoy Ninja Turtles. I love that first movie that came out. What was that, 90? Core Memory Unlocked talked about it. Check that show out as well here on the Throw Me Podcast Network. So I've always had an interest in the Ninja Turtles. And when this movie came out, like I mentioned before, I'm not an animation guy per se, but I was interested because I like the way this movie looks. It's kind of the new thing going on with the animation movies, starting with the Spider-Man films that come out recently, like Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse and all that. They have their own kind of style that makes you kind of jump into the comic book, right? And Ninja Turtles started out as a comic book, and this new style that they put on in this film is really cool, man. I like the way it looks. I don't really talk about the way movies look. I'm not really worried about cinematography of a film. I care more about, the movie itself and the acting and the performances. Nothing against the look of the film, but I don't judge movies based on those things because I don't care. But I like the way this one looks. I think it's cool to talk about stuff like that with animation films because it was different. It's like something I haven't seen before, kind of like, again, mentioning the Spider-Man films. So something I haven't seen before. Also, what I really enjoyed about this movie is the casting of the Turtles. I thought it was fan-flippin-tastic that they cast 4 teenagers. Imagine that, having 4 teenagers playing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I thought that worked very well. They're, living as teenagers, obviously, in the real world, and they can give you what teenagers can, the voice cracking, the awkwardness, the whatever teenagers are into of this generation. I don't know, but they understand that, and they could get that, and they could add that vibe to the Turtles, which I've seen behind the scenes stuff of the making of this movie, and they did help out with that, with the writing and all that stuff, and it's got the Seth Rogen behind it and everything. And he's in the movie. The whole cast is stellar in this movie. Whole voice cast does a great job. When you're coming into a Turtles film or an action comic book film like this, you're looking for what kind of actions in the movie and all that stuff. And the action scenes are really cool. Again, with that interesting art style that they went for in this movie, everything plays out very well. The action scenes are really cool. They had the needle drops in here. They had some great songs dropping in here. Some throwbacks. Again, I don't spoil anything, but some throwback songs in here for you to check out, as well as some like really cool, fun vibe songs that just get you going and get you amped up while the action's going on. And again, the turtles are doing cool stuff. They're still young. They're still getting used to the outside world, but it's cool what they gave you there. Story wise, I digged it. They kind of mentioned it there in the synopsis. The story, for the most part, deals with the turtles have been in seclusion underground, right in the sewer. They have seen the human world. They don't go out in the human world all that much unless they need groceries or something of that nature for their home. Because the human world, obviously, I mean, you get it. You've been out in the world, and if you are different than the standard that people have put out there in magazines or TV or anything like that, you're going to get judged, sadly, because that's the sick world we live in. So obviously you put that into this film with the turtles, who mutated turtles, right? So people are going to unfairly judge them. So they touch on topics like that in this movie. And I think they did a great job with that. I think the story is very solid in this movie from start to finish. It makes sense. We get Splinter's backstory. We get the Turtles' backstory as well. And they do it in a very good fashion. I know some people are worried about backstories and all that stuff. They do it in a fun way. Like I mentioned, people are kind of like, we've seen these before. But you gotta remember, there's audiences who haven't seen these things before. So yes, us as, are in our 30s or 40s or whatever, who have been associated with the turtles since the comic books back in the day, or the 90s films and all that stuff, or the cartoons from back in the day. We understand the backstory and all that, but there's new audiences coming in that haven't seen that backstory. So sometimes you got to give that. You don't always have to give it, like they didn't give the Uncle Ben thing for the Spider-Man films recently. They kind of gave the Batman background with his parents and everything, but that's the core stuff to that, those stories, and we've all seen them multiple times. But you got to understand there's new audiences coming in, so them giving backstory here I thought was fine. They did it in a fun way, in a fun fashion, and it all worked out pretty well. So as you can tell from my words here, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was very well done. Again, it's always cool to see the turtles around and seeing something new going on with them, and glad it worked out. And seeing the critics loved it, that's interesting, because critics are always hit and miss with things, especially comic book films. Unless they're Marvel, apparently. They love Marvel films until recently. We'll talk about that later in the episode. But it's an enjoyable film. It's a fun time. Maybe a smidge long, an hour and 39 minutes. Maybe a little too long. Not to the point where you're going to get bored at any moments, but not too long. But yeah, the story's good. You get some good action, as you would hope, in there. Some good comedy, as you would hope as well. There's some funny scenes in the movie, and some good heartfelt moments in the movie as well. So I think they delivered very well. They are obviously getting a sequel. The film was successful, so there is a sequel. There is a credit scene in the film that sets up said sequel. So I think they're in a good realm. They're in a good world of, continuing in the right direction over here with the Turtles. There's, like I mentioned, there's a sequel. There's another Ninja Turtles movie in the works as well. Which hopefully, good. Hopefully it all works out and doesn't get too confusing for people. But I'm glad, to see it out there. Again, my brother's a huge fan, so I'm glad for him to have this stuff to watch and enjoy. And I'm enjoying it as well. It's fun. I don't know who my favorite turtle is. We all have one favorite turtle. Apparently, I have two. Growing up, for the longest time, it was Michelangelo, because Michelangelo's fun. He's got the nunchucks and kind of goofy and all that stuff. But like the last couple of years, I've really become a Donatello fan. Like I like Donatello. Donatello, smart, cool. He's got I know he only has the stick, but he does cool stuff with the stick, right? Corey Feldman freaking voiced him. So, Donatello's pretty cool as well. So I like both of them. I like all the turtles. They're all cool. I like all the characters there. But, good, solid film from start to finish. Maybe a little smidge too long, but that's just, trying to pick at something ungood with the film. Ungood, what a word. Because it's not a word. But the movie's solid. It's worth checking out. Again, it's streaming on Paramount Plus. Give it a go. This is coming from a guy, again, who isn't, a big animation guy, right? But I thought it was enjoyable. I really did have a good time with it. Again, somebody who's watched the Turtles for a while, I enjoyed the movie very much. I think they did a good job, and I'm excited to see what they bring with the sequel. Again, there's a credit scene that kind of lets you know where they're going here, but I'm interested to see what happens there, man. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem film. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie as well. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Seems like a lot of people enjoyed this movie. All right, going from there, let's go ahead and just continue in the comic book action world with the DC Comics. The first thing, of course, always James Gunn. Got something going on over there. There's been rumors going around that Creatures Commandos was postponed. Again, this is the first property that'll be coming out for the DCU. Remember, this is different. They dropped the E. It was the DCEU. The final film of the DCEU comes out this December with Aquaman 2. Then after that, the DC is starting over with James Gunn and Peter Safran behind the wheel, and they've called it DCU. And the first thing in the DCU will be Creatures Commandos, which is also animation. They've already announced the cast for it. They got a pretty great cast going on there as well. But it is always been scheduled for 2024, but rumors have been going around that it has been pushed back or delayed because of the ongoing strike. However, that is not the case, according to James Gunn. James Gunn has confirmed via X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that Creature Commandos will still be releasing next year, saying, quote, yes, Creature Commandos is all set to come out in 2024. There have never been any delays, thank goodness. Any info otherwise is a well-intentioned mistake or misspeaking, which is good to know. I'm glad we're going to start very quickly. There's worries about things being pushed back and all that things, but thankfully everything still seems pretty much on track with what DC is creating there. Hopefully, the actor strike will end soon. That seems to be pretty close to ending. We'll see how that all turns out. But the writer strike ended a little while back, and now you see, get the actors in the right place and everything, but Creature Commando is still on its set time to release in 2024, so that's good to know. Constantine 2, however, has been affected by the strike. Constantine 2 finally went into actually happening. It's been something that Keanu Reeves has talked about wanting to do for a while. It's been rumored for a while, but finally got some idea that they were actually continuing to move in the right direction and make that happen. And we do know that is currently being worked on. It is in the works. Of course, the writer's strike is now over, so they can start getting to work on a script, but the actor strike is still going on, so we have to wait for some things there. But the sequel to the 2005 superhero horror movie that was based on the graphic novels from DC Comics and Vertigo Comics is still in the works. Constantine 2, Keanu and Akiva Goldsman have been in meetings and have been hashing out what they think the story is going to be. There's also been meetings with those hoping to get that to happen, saying the script has to be written still, but they're really hoping that they get to do Constantine 2 soon, and they're hoping to make it a real rated R version. So good on them, man. I'm glad they're doing a sequel to that. I know Keanu's been wanting to do that for sure, and again, the internet loves Keanu, so try to get that going for sure. Constantine, I've seen once, actually. I do need to revisit that movie for sure. Don't remember disliking it, but I didn't know much about the character at the time when that movie came out. I think I honestly saw it because Shia LaBeouf was in it. But there we go, man. Constantine 2 is happening, so that is going to be good news. Hopefully it happens. They're still very early in the process there, but seems like everything is well intentioned to get there. And then that probably, I would assume, would be part of the DCU's Elseworlds thing that they're doing, where they have the Batman film and its sequel that will be coming at some point. The Joker 2 and the Joker that's in his own world is not connected to the DCU by any means. And Teen Titans, I believe, is one of those as well. Swamp Thing, maybe? No, Swamp Thing's part of the DCU, right? I don't know. I think so. Trying to pull that picture back up in the back of my brain that they released when they announced the timeline. It was a part. Yes, Swamp Thing is a part of the DCU. Teen Titans Go was the other thing. Yes, and Superman and Lois was part of the Elseworlds, which will no longer be happening because Superman and Lois is coming to an end as season 4. So at the end of season 4, it has been confirmed that will be the last of the Superman and Lois, which will mean it'll be the last of the CW's DC shows. The Arrowverse, Berlantiverse, however you want to call it, will officially be ending over there on the CW. And what a run it was, starting with Arrow and then the Flash and Supergirl and all the other shows they put on over there. I keep wanting to say League of Legends, not League of Legends, Legends of Tomorrow, right? Um, Black Lightning, right? Batwoman was there for like a season until that fell apart. Um, Anything else? Did they do Constantine as well? Maybe. No, Constantine was on I don't know. Constantine wasn't on CW. It was like on NBC. I don't know. Stuff happened there. But yeah, Superman and Lois is ending after season 4. Doesn't look like they'll be doing any more shows. I would assume any shows in the future will be going on Max, but we shall see what ends up happening there. But yeah, there you go. That is the DC news, man. That's what we got going on. Let's see. Jumping over to horror, Salem's Lot remake that has been announced that kind of been just sitting on the shelf for a while is officially moving to Max instead of releasing in theaters. Like I said, it has been sitting on the shelf for about a year. But apparently it's not a reflection of the quality of the film, but is due more to the ongoing strike that has been mentioned a couple times on the show already, and that they want to move the film over to Max because Max needs content. Which is interesting because David Zaslav said they were making movies for theatrical reasons, not for maybe he was just meaning DC when he said that, but that's interesting. Stephen King has said of the remake that Salem's Lot, quote, the Warner Brothers remake of Salem's Lot currently shelved is muscular and evolving. It has the feel of old Hollywood when a film was given a chance to draw a breath before getting to business, when attention spans were longer, in other words, end quote. Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. The original Salem's Lot released in, what was it, 1979. It was a mini-series, much like the first It film. Um, and I watched that recently. I think I want to say I watched it on Tubi. It wasn't bad. But yeah, I mean, Stephen King, obviously they've been turning a lot of his properties into films and TV shows lately because he's got good stuff, man. It's good, interesting stuff. And of course, when It hit big, a lot of his properties started coming back as well. So we'll see how this one turns out. I think Pet Sematary recently came back, and that was met with mixed reviews, but I haven't seen it yet. I saw There's been a lot of Pet Cemeteries. I saw the one that came out a couple of years ago, where they switched the roles and everything. I have not seen the most recent one, but I haven't heard good things about it either. So we'll see. We'll see how Salem's Lot turns out. It's got the Nosferatu looking vampire in it and all that. So again, we'll see how it all turns out. But it is moving to Max, which is interesting. But currently, Max needs content. Or, you can just sell Warner Brothers to Universal and they can go on Peacock. Let's see. Poltergeist, a movie I love to death, is in my top favorite horror films of all time, is getting a series. A series of the series version of the iconic horror film Poltergeist is currently in early development for Amazon MGM Studios. Poltergeist, if you don't know, if you're not, in the loop with the Poltergeist movie, see it. It is fantastic. It is awesome. It centers on a family who move into a new home only to discover that it's been infested with ghosts. After the ghosts kidnap a young daughter, the youngest daughter of the family, they get in touch with a spiritual medium and a parapsychologist, and they try to get their daughter back. So yeah, I love the Poltergeist. It's an awesome movie. Fantastic house at Halloween Horror Nights as well. They did do a show before for the Poltergeist. I want to say, when did that come out? That was 90s, obviously. Yes, Poltergeist Legacy. Poltergeist Legacy, it was on Showtime. It had 3 seasons, and the 4th and final season went to the Sci-Fi Channel. And so there you go, man. Hopefully that works out. Amazon MGM Studios, so I assume that's going to be on Amazon Prime. Be shocked if it wasn't, which means I need to get Amazon Prime. I need to do it. I think it's only like $15 a month. Maybe I should. But that's cool, man. Again, I like the Poltergeist movie. There's 3 films. There's a curse around that movie as well. I don't know if there's a curse around the show or anything like before, but there was a seemingly curse with some sad things that happened around the Poltergeist franchise, which you can check out on Shudder. There is a documentary on it called Cursed Films. There was a documentary on E! True Hollywood Story. Remember that? If you're as old as I am, you remember E! True Hollywood Story. They talked about it as well. But yeah, cool. Poltergeist show. Why not? Let's see. It Follows is getting a sequel that will be titled They Follow. First film came out in 2014. David Robert Mitchell and Makia Monroe will be returning for They Follow. It Follows is a movie that is very well loved, but it's a movie that I don't believe I enjoyed. I felt like I watched that movie once, and I was like, I don't get the hype, which is not unusual for me because there's a lot of times where I've watched movies that people love to death that I haven't gotten into, which is fine. We're all allowed to enjoy what we want to enjoy, you know? And yeah, I just don't remember enjoying It Follows too much. I do a rewatch again. I only saw it once. It's been a while. But if I remember the film, I did not get into it. But They Follow. We'll see how it works out. That is in the works. So a sequel to It Follows for all you It Follows fans is happening. And again, it's going to be called They Follow. Let's see. Video game news. Gun Interactive is teasing the arrival of a brand new map and brand new characters to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game. They posted a teaser video on social media, which gives your first official look at a new killer and a new victim, along with brand new hunting grounds. So go ahead and check that out if you're still playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We got a look at the sequel to Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. And apparently Winnie the Pooh will be sporting a brand new look for the sequel. Which, by the way, during the 31 days of Halloween or horror, I finally watched Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. And didn't hate it. Didn't hate it at all. It is a film that I felt fits perfectly fine as an 80s slasher film, if you will. Obviously not top tier 80s slasher, but like the middle ground 80s slasher film kind of vibe to it. I didn't think it was horrible by any means. I got what I was expecting going in there, and I did enjoy it. I would gladly watch that movie again, probably. But what I don't like is, and I'm perfectly fine with it getting a sequel. I do not like the fact they're changing the look. Like, I think the look was fine. Like, we don't need to change the look. And seeing that first look image, he looks like the Grinch. He looks like Winnie the Pooh, looks like the Grinch. Don't need that. Like, I don't need that at all. Like, he looked perfectly fine in the first movie. Why we're changing the look, I do not know. Kind of reminds me of Halloween, where they continuously change the mask in some way, shape, or form. Why are we changing the mask? Like, why are we doing it? So yeah, we'll see how that works out. But they're getting a bigger budget with the film because people were very interested in Winnie the Pooh, no matter how badly it is rated. So yeah, a sequel is happening, and good luck to them over there. Of course, mentioning the strike yet again on this episode. Welcome to Derry, the prequel show for It. I mentioned it earlier as well. HBO has announced that the series Welcome to Derry will be pushed back. It is likely to not release in 2024 as expected and will now be unleashed sometime in 2025. Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti are returning and being back on board for the prequel. Of course, they were behind the successful It films. They're doing it with Muschietti set to direct several episodes. The series will begin in the 1960s and the time leading up to the events of It Part 1. So there you go. The story is also said to include the origin story of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Bill Skarsgård apparently not attached as of yet. Hopefully they get him involved because obviously he was fantastically awesome as Pennywise. So we would like to see that again, but I trust Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti. They've done fantastic work with the It franchise and The Flash. Stop being haters and do some research. But nonetheless, I am excited for this show. Again, Stephen King, always, his properties are always around. And there's a good chance that show's going to be really good, and another show for Max, right? So, there you go. They should just have a Stephen King corner on Max, right? But you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, man. 2025 is where that's gonna be. It was supposed to release next year in 2024, but with the strikes pushing things back, this is one of those things that is getting pushed back as well. So 2025 is when we will be getting to see the prequel to It. All right. Is that it for horror news and DC news? All right. Other things going on real quick. kind of a quick episode here, man. Other bit of news is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny will be arriving on Disney Plus Friday, December 1st. So, if you haven't seen Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, like myself, you can check that out on Disney Plus. There's some cool stuff going on Disney Plus. Season 2 of Behind the Attraction is finally up over there, so you can go check that out. I'm excited to check that out. Another thing I'm excited to check out is there's a Beatles documentary about the last song from the Beatles. I've heard very glowing reviews of that song. I have not heard the song yet because I'm waiting to watch that said documentary. But fun stuff going on over there on Disney Plus, man. So Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, thankfully, is coming out in time before for me to see it before the year-end rankings episode happens. So there you go. And the last thing to talk about on this show, and I don't want to harp on it too much because I'm already labeled a Marvel hater, right? People already think I hate Marvel films. I do not hate Marvel films. I do not hate Marvel. I just am not overly hyped about Marvel stuff like everybody else is. A vast majority, not everybody, a vast majority of people enjoy Marvel stuff, which again, fine, love your thing, but I'm not, in that grouping. Like I enjoy some Marvel stuff, right? But I do not enjoy all Marvel stuff. Honestly, I might do the Marvel mediocre thing, bring that back. There's a show we did on Patreon for a while, kind of went away. I might want to bring that back. So, I'm not going to watch the shows and care less about the shows, even though I'm going to have to watch one here in a moment. I'll talk about that later. But there's a crisis going on over at Marvel Studios right now. The last couple of things have not been that they've released have not been met with the best of regards. Most recently with Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 or Ant-Man Quantumania, whatever the name of that movie was, which has led to a lot of things happening over there. In Marvel Land, the first thing to talk about is Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors got in some trouble. There's some allegations against Jonathan Majors, which they are going to court and trial and all that to settle that issue. Marvel and Disney have not officially released Jonathan Majors from the character of Kang, who a lot of the future is being built around over there. Heck, one of the Avengers films is called Kang Dynasty, right? And not touching on it. Like a lot of people are comparing it with Ezra. Again, do research when it comes to Ezra. Jonathan Majors, we'll see what happens. Hope the best either way. Hopefully the right judgment is found, right? But Disney seemingly has learned from the mistake they made with Johnny Depp that they are not releasing Jonathan Majors as of yet from the role, but there's a lot of talks around that saying that they may go in a different direction for the future, saying even they may go ahead and shift to Doctor Doom, which I don't know how I necessarily feel about that. You could recast Kang, of course, but they've already recast characters before in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But going straight to Doctor Doom and throwing in it just doesn't seem right. I know Doctor Doom is associated with the Secret Wars, from what I understand. Again, I'm not fully in depth with the Marvel stuff, but I understand Doctor Doom's a part of that. And Doctor Doom will obviously be coming at some point. There's a Fantastic Four movie coming up as well, sometime in the future. Like, I feel like they just announced the movie. I don't even know if they're even working on the thing, but they announced it a while ago. Same with Blade, which Blade is another thing we'll get into here. But I don't know if you need to do a drastic shift at the moment. We'll wait and see what's happening with Jonathan Majors. I don't know the next films that are set to come out. I don't know the full timeline with Marvel. Obviously, the Marvel's coming out next week, but I don't know what's happening after that. And then Kang was just in the Loki show, which I haven't watched and I probably won't watch. I don't care about the shows. Let's be out there. I watched a couple of them. I stopped. Like it's too much. It's oversaturation. Just like Star Wars did the same thing. And I like Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars guy. And even there, I'm like, I haven't watched those shows. I watched Obi-Wan because it's freaking hugely interested in that and seeing how that all worked out. And I very much enjoyed it, but I haven't watched the other Star Wars shows. So yeah, that's one of the things going on. Blade is another thing that's been having multiple issues going on with it, with script changes and people leaving the production, and freaking their star Mahershala Ali almost left as well because the script had Blade as like the least important character in the Blade movie. Imagine that. So that was a problem, but they're now got a new writer that's rewriting everything and trying to get that going and up and going. So that's another thing that they've run into as an issue over there. And again, the poor reviews and the bad responses, like the bad response to Ant-Man Quantumania is one of the reasons they said they're thinking about going a different direction from Kang, which we all honestly know the different direction is because of what's going on personal life-wise. Um, Box office doesn't matter. That's not important here. So yeah, the other thing that's being thrown around in the Marvel world right now is that they're talking about bringing back Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson, which, spoiler alert for a film that came out a while ago, those characters are gone, right? Those characters are done. And they only mention those two. They're not bringing Captain America back, or is Captain America still around? Like, what? Okay, anyways, I hate that idea. Like, I understand that there is a multiverse and you can bring characters from all of this, and this is just this Earth, and there's other Earths that'll have these characters and all that stuff. I don't like that idea. I do not like that idea at all. It's because why did we go through what we went through with Endgame? Why were we so upset and crying over Black Widow and Iron Man to now, a couple years later, like, oh, they're back. And it seems like such a bad pull to me. Like, yes, I would love to see Robert Downey Jr. back. He's awesome. He's fantastic as freaking Tony Stark in Iron Man. He's great. That'd be great to see. Freaking Scarlett Johansson, fantastic. But I don't. Why bring those characters back? Like, unless it's a big movie. You want to bring them back in Secret Wars? Fine. I still don't fully like it. Like, I had to get used to Gamora, even in Guardians of the Galaxy, being from a different Earth. By the way, if they're bringing these characters back, I want it to be like that. I want them to not know what's going on. I don't want them to feel comfortable or associated in any way, right? Um, I don't know. I'm mixed on it. I'm really mixed on this idea because, again, just a couple years ago, all this stuff went down and they just went away. And now all of a sudden, just because your universe isn't doing what it was doing before and people were loving it every time you release something, it's not panic button, bring the Avengers back. Like, it just seems so cheap. It seems so cheap. But I guess you got to do what you got to do. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like it. It's plain and simple. I don't like it. But what can you do? I guess. Let's see. Talked about briefly the shows. I'm seeing Captain. I want to call it Captain Marvel too. The Marvels. That's coming out next week. That'll be next week's review. I am seeing that. I have not seen the first Captain Marvel movie since I saw it in theaters. So I'm gonna rewatch that. And I have not watched the show. I don't even remember the name of the show. Is it Miss Marvel? Right? Is that the name of the show? I'm gonna watch that. I guess I don't know how many episodes it is. We'll see if I get through it. I don't know, man. It's a weird time over there in Marvel, and it just seems like, DC's rebooting. They're like, hey, let's reboot as well, since things aren't working out for us. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Like I said, I mean, what do they have future-wise? They have Fantastic Four. They have um, Blade. What else do they have? Daredevil, I guess. Is that still happening? I assume there's another Spider-Man film that's going to happen. There's a Captain America movie. They are working on that. New World Order. They changed the name. Fuck it. I'm still calling it New World Order. um, um, yeah, I don't know what else they got coming. And then, of course, the Avengers film, King Dynasty, and then Secret Wars. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, if they're bringing back past characters for the Avengers Secret Wars films, again, I get the multiverse and all that stuff. Like, I don't know, man. It feels icky. Like, does it feel icky to y'all? Let me know in the comments. Does it feel icky to y'all as well that Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson could be coming back already? Or are you just excited to see those characters again? Like, let me know, man. Let me know what you think. Because, again, it's fine if it's in a smart way, if you do it the right way. If you're doing it just for, oh, emergency, pull the lever, situation, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. But again, Robert Downey Jr. is awesome as Iron Man. Be cool to see him as Iron Man. It'd be cool to see Tom Cruise as Iron Man. They've been teasing me with that for a while. If you're gonna bring an Iron Man from another Earth, Tom Cruise, right there, do it. But they've also been teasing that Tom Cruise will be in the DCU. Who freaking knows, man? Who knows? It's a weird world right now. DC's rebooting. Marvel's apparently falling apart. What a weird time. What a weird time we are in. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for this episode, man. Hope you enjoyed it. You got your horror news, you got your DC news, you got your other bits of news going on there, and you got your spoiler-free review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. The Turtles are doing fine, right? DC's rebooting. Marvel's falling apart. Turtles are doing great. Turtles are having a good time, man. So let's see. Can we get the Power Rangers back, please? For the love of God, can we get something going there, please? For me, a diehard Power Rangers fan, can I please have the Power Rangers? Like, is it so hard? Can we do the Power Rangers, please? But nonetheless, that's gonna do it for this episode. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to this show. Do me a favor, please hit that like, subscribe, and share. It'll help reach other people with this show as well. Thank you for supporting the Thrill Me Podcast Network. We appreciate it if you gave a like and subscribe over there to the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Check out all the fun goodies we got for you there as well. We do have a Patreon with other fun goodies going on there. Maybe I'll do the Marvel Mediocre Show again there over there. We shall see. But as for now, this is the end of the episode. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, I'd like to leave every single episode with this quote that I love to death and will have tattooed on my body at some point in time. Thank you all for joining in. Appreciate you all. And always remember that happiness can always be found, even in the darkest of times, if one remembers only to turn on the light. I messed it up, but you get the gist. If one only remembers to turn on the light. Rewind. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light. There you go. Got it. Gotta remember that, but when I get tattooed, I don't want to get that messed up. But appreciate you all. See you next episode, or talk to you all next episode.